Mystics. Natasha Cloud, Christy Tolliver in the backcourt of front court of Elena Delle Donne, the MVP, Ariel Atkins, and Latoya Sanders. For the Connecticut Sun, they have started the same five every single game, regular and postseason. A backcourt of Jasmine Thomas and Courtney Williams, Shakina Strickland, Alyssa Thomas, and Jonquel Jones round out the front court. The first quarter has been imperative in this series. The team who has won it has won the game, and they have won the first quarter large. Double-digit leads after each first quarter in this series. Mike Thibault and Elena Delle Donne a win away from their elusive first titles. The Connecticut Sun and Kurt Miller trying to make sure their season does not end on their home floor as it has the past 2 years. Jones and Sanders will jump it up. And game 4 of the WNBA Finals underway as Thomas lays it in. You can't get a better tip than that if you're Connecticut.
This is a team that felt like Washington was the team that was tougher in game 3. They want to come out and throw the first punch, and here we see the same matchup defensively that we saw in game 3. Shakina Strickland on Natasha Cloud, and Cloud takes advantage of it. Cloud has the quickness advantage. Washington went over this offensive set in their shoot-around this morning, and they said, not we're running it for Natasha Cloud. We are running it for whoever Shakina Strickland is guarding. Clear out the side of the floor, let her drive.
Now, interestingly, when we talked with Kurt Miller, Connecticut Sun head coach, he said one of his concerns would be his players not trying to do so much they want it so badly, as Thomas misfires on a 3, sort of overextending themselves, like Strickland maybe did there as she tried to guard Cloud way out beyond the three-point line. Said we need to just stick to our principles. Thought that was a big problem in game 3 as Sanders couldn't finish. It's saved by Atkins beautifully. Another chance here for Washington. Atkins in the corner, off on a 3, and Williams flies in for the rebound for Connecticut. Here is Williams veering in the lane, finds the cutting Thomas. She's fouled by Delle Donne, and Alyssa Thomas will shoot 2.
Connecticut at their best when they can get going in transition. You have to get a stop one way in order to do so. Elena with her hands down gets called for that foul.
Now there was some confusion as to whether or not this would be a side out or shots. Alyssa Thomas will shoot. A reminder, in case you're late to join the series, Alyssa Thomas has a torn labrum in each shoulder, which dramatically affects her free throw shooting. As she hits the first, was under 50% on the season. You know, that three-point play from Natasha Cloud was just the 3rd lead change of this entire series. We have already tonight had as many lead changes as there were in the first 3 games combined.
Remarkable considering how close these games have been played.
Cloud burrows in, hooks it up, doesn't get the roll. Alyssa Thomas, the pirouette, the dish. Williams floater, no.
Washington continuing to do a good job on the defensive glass here in game 4.
Delle Donne all alone, that's danger, but it rims out. Rebound ends up with Strickland after a volley. Jones, a touch on the perimeter. A spin into the lane, and she draws the whistle on Sanders.
Great sign for Connecticut is their players attacking. You see Jonquel Jones here. Yes, a foul because Sanders has her hand down, but it's important for Connecticut. We talked about it in the open. Jones to be aggressive, Courtney Williams to be aggressive. They have here early.
This is the YouTube TV Try It free throw. Watch WNBA games and 70+ live channels when you try YouTube TV for free at tvyoutube.com. Jones hits them both. A 6-3 beginning for Connecticut. They are 17-3 here at Mohegan Sun Arena this season, including the playoffs. Strong hedge there from Jones. She retreats to Sanders. Sanders looking for help, finds it in Cloud, who can't hit the three. The rebound, Alyssa Thomas. Thomas busting it down the floor. Leaves it for Williams. Off on a three, and the rebound clawed by Cloud.
Ryan, Elena Delle Donne, much like in Game 3, is being used as a spacer for Washington offensively, not involving her in a ton of action, not posting her up.
Atkins off one leg, no. And there were times her shot selection was a bit questionable in Game 3. Strickland buries a three, and a strong beginning for Connecticut. Timeout, Washington.
The Connecticut Sun crowd looking for a reason to come alive in Games 3 and Game 4. Strickland giving them a reason here.
Welcome back to Connecticut, here with Jonquel Jones of the Sun. And Jonquel, a palpable difference, you going to the basket, being more aggressive. How is this playing out here in the first quarter?
I think it's playing out pretty well. I think we started with great intensity, and that's what we need for this game.
The first quarter has pretty much determined who wins the games. How do you continue this going and win this quarter?
Playing hard, staying locked in, being ready to play.
Thank you, Jonquel.
Thank you.
Well, Jonquel Jones and Kurt Miller's Connecticut Sun, a much different defensive effort to begin this game. They've held Washington to 1 of 7 shooting. They had a lengthy film session yesterday and sort of made sure to get on the same page communication-wise in the defensive end. Really were disappointed with their effort in Game 3. And Alyssa Thomas even said, look, guys, we need to just play harder. So far they have on that end. Another stop there.
We're seeing defensively the Connecticut team. Great high-low from AT to Jonquel Jones. Defensively, we're seeing the Connecticut Sun team we saw all season, especially in the playoffs. Game 3 was an aberration for them.
A 9-0 run for Connecticut to begin Game 4, facing elimination. Delle Donne gets a touch inside and a bucket to end the run.
It looks very similar to the play in Game 2 that triggered her back spasm. We'll see how she continues to move and if she can be more involved on the block like that last play.
She's told Holly Rose she was feeling a bit better today as a foul is called against Cloud. We check in with Holly.
Well, Elena said after the last game she was in significant pain, but all day yesterday here at the Mohegan Sun she was able to do physical therapy and treatment. Even today at shoot-around she was wearing this big contraption around her waist that was sending electrical stimulation and heat to her back called the Venom Belt. Even in pregame warm-up, I could tell she had a different pep in her step. She has looked looser and more comfortable from what we saw in her last game.
It's great stuff, Holly, and it's something Mike Tebow felt as well, that he thought she was moving a bit better. As Williams misfires, she is yet to hit. Tolliver with Connecticut back in transition, peels out.
Watch how physical Alyssa Thomas is going to be with Elena Delle Donne when she has the opportunity.
Now Alyssa switched on Tolliver. What a look from Tolliver. Sanders will fire, in and out. Jones back for the rebound.
All the shots that were going in Game 3 for Washington aren't here.
Alyssa Thomas can't wedge it in. Cloud, strong hands the rebound. Dangerous feed, but Atkins grabs it. Can't finish inside, and the rebound to Williams. Williams trying to set up Jones with a deep catch. Good movement here. Strickland connects on a three. A 14-5 start for the Sun. Facing elimination in this Game 4. Cloud finds the cutter in Sanders, and it goes down. Crowd wanted a charge. Washington wanted an and one. Instead, it was a play on. Williams 0 for 3 thus far after a quiet Game 3, her first down performance of the playoffs. Finds Alyssa Thomas in for 2.
As we've seen throughout the playoffs, right now, Alyssa Thomas, the physically most imposing, strongest, toughest player on the floor.
Cloud, difficult look over Jones to no avail. Here comes Jasmine Thomas. The hesitation, acceleration, and finish. An 11-point first quarter lead for Connecticut. Whoever has won the first has won the game so far this series as Deladon buries a three.
We said it in game 3. Even far under 100% health, Elena Deladon, that's one thing she can do, catching fire.
Williams glides in for the lay. Connecticut shooting it at 58% to Washington's 28.5. Deladon, the switch on Jasmine Thomas. Cloud, low catch. Might have thrown her off on the shot.
She's had a couple of those here early. Not clean catches.
Williams bodies into a foul.
Elena Deladon, the first player in the history of the WNBA to be a 50, 40, 90. Well, this is one of the ways she gets the 40. Just a little bit of space, and she's got such perfect form on her shots. And Kurt Miller wanted Courtney Williams to get a couple touches early. He wanted her to get 4 to 6 points in the first quarter. She's well on her way.
Kurt Miller emphasized the fast start, not just because of the way first quarters have swung these games in this series, but also because he felt like his team, coming off of what happened in game 3, needed some confidence.
That is exactly right. As he was looking back at the film with his team, Kurt Miller noticed that they were reacting to everything that Washington did. They weren't the aggressors. They weren't setting the pace, setting the tone. They were sitting back, waiting to see what happened and then react. Tonight, they are the aggressors. A very different feeling to this game. It is palpable, guys. It's just a completely different level of activity by this Connecticut Sun team.
Yeah, Holly said they need to be proactive and need a higher desire. They have had it thus far. Thomas leaves it. Heidemann early minutes for Connecticut. That's why. Timeout, Washington. Rachel Banham has had plenty to celebrate in this first quarter. Connecticut has had runs of 9-0 and now 7-0. They have a 15-point first quarter lead. Ariel Powers in off the bench for Washington. Miesemann as well. Miesemann has had a brilliant postseason. Can't finish there. More good defense from Jonquel Jones.
And Connecticut will let that be a one-on-one matchup. They would rather Miesemann taking a tough 2 than dishing out for a 3.
Williams jumper is good. Well, Kurt Miller wanted 4 to 6 points in the first for Williams. She has her 6. Tolliver has been quiet thus far after a 20 game with 10 assists in game 3. And Powers is fouled. She'll shoot 2.
Ariel Powers played with such great toughness in game 3. She came in and went toe-to-toe with Alyssa Thomas. And any team that plays Connecticut, that is important.
I love what Christy Tolliver told us. She said, Ariel Powers is our Draymond. The rest of us are easygoing. She'll go chest to chest with a bully. For the latest on all things WNBA Finals, including scores, news, and highlights, get the WNBA app. Download for free today from the App Store. Now, one thing to keep in mind, speaking of Tolliver and what we've seen thus far, she is on just 1 day rest here. We focused a lot on Elena Deladon's injuries, but Tolliver is playing with a sprained MCL and a significant bone bruise in her right knee. She missed the final month of the regular season, has played more minutes and more effectively than maybe she even thought she could in these playoffs, but has played much better with more rest. She shot it at just 21% from 3 when she's had a single day of rest. Over 40 with more. As Holmes blows the bunny, gets another chance. No. Still trying to fight in the lane. Loose ball and another chance for Connecticut. Heidemann tees it up and knocks it down.
What did Jasmine tell us this morning, Ryan?
She thought Letitia Heidemann could give them big minutes off the bench. And so far, Jasmine Thomas, the elder statesman of this group, has been right about the rookie. Deladon, a chance for 3.
Bria Holmes played pretty good defense because of where Elena Deladon's release is. Watch this. It's right where the defender's hand is. Yes, that's a foul. You cannot hit the elbow of the shooter, but so much of that is simply the form on Elena Deladon's shot.
Well, Rebecca, she got that in childhood when her father put her on put a ladder, and he taped a broom on top of the ladder. The broom's name was Oscar, and so as a kid, she got that high arc on the release. She said now kids have technology like Noah or a tracking system to get that arc, but she had a good old-fashioned broom on a ladder, and it is an unblockable shot without fouling her because of that high release point.
Good old Oscar. I love it, Holly.
Forget Oscar the Grouch. She had Oscar the broom.
Williams off another Washington turnover, short on the jumper. And here comes Powers with Tolliver open down floor. Powers nearly lost it, tumbles to the floor. Walker Kimbrough rattles in a 3. And the clock continued to run after that one dropped through as Byron Jarrett will check in with the scores table. I want to remind you of the first quarter scores in this series. In game 1, it was Washington 30, Connecticut 17. Washington ended up winning. Game 2, Connecticut 29, Washington 17. Connecticut won. Game 3, Washington 32, Connecticut 17. Washington won. Right now, 30-17 Connecticut. Make it 32-17. Just eerily mirroring each other. About a 2-second difference, game and shot clock. Tolliver lost it out of bounds. 5 to shoot. Connecticut with their first 30-point quarter in their postseason history. Hardy! Hard on her! Hard! Deladon and Tolliver get a jump at the end of first quarter break as Walker Kimbrough can't finish. Williams the rebound and then a jump. Looked like Williams might have been bumped from behind. Instead, it's going to be a jump ball with 2.6 to go in the first.
Game 3, Washington was definitely the team that was quicker to loose balls and had more energy. Well, in this first quarter of game 4, certainly Connecticut's done that.
A little bit of a conference here between the officials, and what they may be determining is whether or not Williams had control of the rebound and the shot clock should have reset. Because if it hadn't, there was a slight differential. And I'm not sure how much, if any time, would be left to shoot for Washington. And that's what Michael Price is going over to the scores table, and now they are going to call it a shot clock violation. The shot from Walker Kimbrough did not hit the rim. Williams was not determined to have control, hence the shot clock violation. Alyssa Thomas to inbound. Williams breaks the timeline, and that will do it for the first. Connecticut facing elimination against Elena Deladon and the Mystics. A 32-17 lead after 1. This has been the story in these finals, as you can see here. Will it play out again tonight? The Sun lead by 15 after 1. Game 4 action of the 2019 WNBA Finals. Second quarter up next.
The WNBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV and AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Connecticut, here with Washington Mystics coach Mike Tebow. And coach, that is the highest scoring quarter for Connecticut in the playoff history. What will be the first thing you address defensively with your team?
Well, we were bad from the start. The opening tip, they got to lay up on the opening tip. I thought we played one-on-one basketball, 5 or 6 possessions. We turned it over in those by getting the ball in traffic. I don't recognize my team right now.
Elena Deladon looks like she's moving better. How can you attack offensively and get some other people involved as well?
Well, we got to get her some touches. We got to mix it up inside and outside. But right now, they're switching, they're doubling her, and you know, we're going to have to try to get her on the move a little bit more too.
Thank you, coach.
Well, Elena Deladon sitting on the bench in this game 4 rather than going back to the locker room or standing behind it as we saw in game 3 as she continues to deal with that small herniation of a disc in her back. As Powers opens the second quarter with a 3-point play. Alyssa Thomas, meanwhile, had 7 assists in that first quarter, a finals record. Underneath, Jones cleaning it up on the offensive glass.
Washington so focused when Jonquel Jones is in the game with boxing her out. Well, Brianna Jones, a terrific job there, using her strength to get that O board.
And Kurt Miller has gone to his bench a little earlier and a little longer in this game thus far. Letitia Heidemann still out there along with Jones. Then it's the starters, Alyssa and Jasmine Thomas and Chiquina Strickland.
The story of game 2 for Connecticut was their work on the offensive glass, and here Emma Meeseman does her best job, but Brianna Jones uses her strength and size to get the O board.
They had 17 offensive rebounds, 29 second chance points in game 2, then just 7 and 9 in game 3. What a look from Heidemann. She gets it back in the corner, took too long to shoot, follows it up though, and spins it in. Boy, did Jasmine Thomas predict that one correctly. Excellent early minutes from the rookie Heidemann as Powers responds with a jumper.
Again, Powers showing toughness and poise, playing well here in these WNBA Finals.
Strickland says why not? A little too strong on that attempt, Cloud the rebound. Cloud will take and hit. Second field goal of the game for Natasha Cloud as Elena Deladon applauds. Jonquel Jones trots back to the scorer's table. Alyssa Thomas digs right into Hawkins and draws the foul.
Letitia Heidemann, the only rookie playing in these WNBA Finals, has been such a spark. Gets her shot blocked, shows the energy. The Marquette grad right there with the up and under finish.
Hey, speaking of college representation, how about Alyssa Thomas at the line right now? One of 5 Maryland Terrapins who are playing in these finals.
Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Especially because Washington hosting the first 2 games right in the backyard of the University of Maryland.
A lot for the Terps to be engaged about. Thomas has been brilliant thus far. Challenged her team in a long film session yesterday and has backed up her words. Told her teammates, look, if your shots aren't falling, it doesn't matter. You have to control what you can control. We need more effort, especially on the defensive end. They've had it so far. Powers doing a nice job off the bench for Washington.
Washington is being effective here, but kind of going a little bit away from their identity. You know, they're usually a team that passes a lot and gets assists on their baskets, a little bit more one-on-one the last few possessions.
Alyssa Thomas throws it away as she thought Heidemann was going backdoor. That was the first turnover for the Connecticut Sun. Courtney Williams getting ready to check back in for the Sun. Cloud on the attack. Finds Hawkins. Dangerous pass and a charge.
I mean, the difference in the Connecticut Sun defensively from game 3 to game 4 is so striking. Not only in their one-on-one ability, but more importantly, their teammates. Their team defense. They're there to help. That's why Jasmine gets that charge call. She's there to help her teammate when Alyssa Thomas flew by.
And that was something Jonquel Jones pointed out to us was a real issue in game 3, just not being on the same page between the posts and the guards. Jones finds Thomas for 2. Alyssa Thomas now with 10 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds in this first half. Hawkins a good look, and a splash from deep.
That's one player you don't want to leave open. Hawkins has been outstanding throughout the course of the playoffs, a huge game 2.
Washington as a team had shot it at 47% from 3 in these finals. They're going to call that out of bounds on Jasmine Thomas when it looked like there definitely was a foul, and there's going to be a conference here between Mai Forsberg and Byron Jarrett. No foul there, but how about this? Whack.
Yeah, that's a clear foul on Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, and sometimes you're okay with them not calling it as long as you give the correct team the ball back.
That's one of those, we won't call foul, but we'll give you possession. Instead, Connecticut comes up empty on both. Cloud turns the corner and scoops it in. Timeout, Connecticut. A strong response from Washington in the second.
Natasha Cloud played great in game 3, and here in game 4, she's recognizing that driving lanes are there, taking advantage.
Play topside too. You can make it a little harder. Play topside. Let's switch it. Set good screens too. Whether it's down screens or ball screens, we need to set better screens, open each other out. Make hard cuts. They're overplaying everything. Everyone, baby, let's go.
There you hear Natasha Cloud. She is the quarterback, the communicator, the best vision on this team, and she comes by it honestly, Ryan and Rebecca. She actually played 6 years as a football player where she was the starting quarterback for her team. She said playing football has made her tough. The vision she used as that position on the see lanes and see players. I love that quarterback is still calling out plays, getting it done for the Washington Mystics. You see her toughness every play.
Oh, it's a wonderful story, and I mean, you really can feel the toughness of Natasha Cloud, and you go, girl. Natasha Cloud playing football with the boys for much of her youth.
Can you give me another you go girl, please, Ryan?
Oh, you go, girl. Thomas can't bank it in, and a foul against Washington on the glass.
Trying to box out Jonquel Jones. So relentless in game 2 when she had her 9 offensive boards. Washington did a great job on her in game 3. She continues to attack every time a shot goes up.
And that was the second personal on Emma Miesemann. And a foul inside. Tolliver and Miesemann were there. And free throws coming for Jonquel Jones.
And Connecticut has had success in right there, the high-low game. And that's one of the things Connecticut thought they could do coming into this game because of the way Washington was defending, because of the way they were getting to the early box outs in game 3.
Connecticut, who is a very poor free throw shooting team, 9 of 9 now from the line thus far. Kurt Miller and Mike Tebow, 2 outstanding coaches who have such incredible reverence for one another. They actually, before the start of game 2, were sitting together on the bench about 85 minutes before tip. Not something you see often between opposing head coaches.
Yeah, clearly mutual respect there.
Cloud has the pass knocked away and taken by Williams. Here comes Thomas. Tongue out, engine on. She's fouled.
Courtney Williams was a bit of a defensive liability in the last game. She let her frustration on the offensive end spill over to the defensive. How many times have we seen this from her, though? Active hands today, and how many times have we seen this season? Alyssa Thomas, the best facilitating forward in the WNBA, going end to end.
That's 2 fouls on Natasha Cloud. So 2 on Cloud, 2 on Hawkins, 2 on Misamin. As Alyssa Thomas, who was under 50% from the line this season, is now 5 of 5.
Does that deserve a you go, girl?
It does. You go, girl. And Thomas hits them both. 6 of 6 for the line for Alyssa Thomas, who has 12 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds. Atkins is isolated at times. Good hands by Alyssa Thomas, and she's called for the foul and isn't so sure. That'll be her first.
Alyssa Thomas on ball screen is going to step out, and woo. She definitely got all ball, unless they were calling it with the body.
There you talk about the improved defense today from Courtney Williams. Kobe Bryant did a wonderful detail of Courtney and what she needs to do better in Game 4 on ESPN+, and that was one of the things he talked about as Atkins buries the 3.
Remember, Ariel Atkins also dealing with some back issues that limited her a bit in Game 3.
Williams creates space, short on the jumper. Jones on the offensive glass, a behemoth. The Bahamian beast has come to the boards today. That's going to be an offensive foul as Elena Deladon chucked Jasmine Thomas.
Jonquel Jones continues to work. The box out by Sanders was good, but Jonquel Jones kept going after it.
A 19-11 edge on the glass for Connecticut thus far. Thomas finds Jasmine. Jones posting Deladon. Atkins shading, digging, knocking it away off of Jones. Good help there from Atkins.
Really nice dig by Ariel Atkins. Jasmine Thomas has to make herself more available so Jonquel Jones can find her out.
We mentioned the rebounding margin in favor of Connecticut thus far. It was Washington who was a +7 on the glass in Game 3. Cloud, double, trap, nearly threw it away. 7 to shoot. Tolliver's been quiet thus far and has that knocked away. Tolliver down in pain underneath the hoop. As that one went wild, Tolliver trying to get to her feet. And a foul called against Connecticut.
See Christy Tolliver on this drive. A lot of bodies there. Remember, she's dealing with a knee, as you mentioned, Ryan. Sprained MCL, bone bruise on that right side. She went down and stayed down for a while.
Tolliver in some pain. Playing through a lot of it with that knee. And now grimacing a bit more. By the way, that was not a foul, just a clock issue that stopped that fast break attempt as Tolliver short on the 3. Tolliver yet to score in this game. Jasmine Thomas kicks. Jonquel wants it, gets it. Bodies in. Good D from Sanders, and 4 to shoot for Connecticut. Timeout on the floor. Connecticut a 12-point lead. Second quarter action, Game 4 of these 2019 WNBA Finals. Coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm, Holly Rose sits down with WNBA champion and former MVP Yolanda Griffith That plus we'll have all the first half stats and highlights. Christy Tolliver, a much different performance thus far in game 4 compared to what we saw in game 3. Strickland, great look, excellent decision.
What a play drawn up by Kurt Miller in that timeout. Beautifully executed.
14 points for Alyssa Thomas to go with 7 assists, 3 rebounds. You look at the stat sheet, biggest difference right now, second chance points. Connecticut an 11-0 edge on Washington. Atkins, a deep one, is good. Ariel Atkins has found her stroke.
Washington never out of a game, no matter the deficit, because of their ability to hit threes.
Set a WNBA record in that department this season as that last hit the foot of Sanders. And will stay with Connecticut. Take a look back at that out-of-bounds play, Rebecca.
Well, often the most dangerous person is the inbounder, and you'll see Strickland. She's going to come off the baseline, off the screens, and everyone's going to be looking there. Elena Deladon goes. That's why Alyssa Thomas is open.
Another good inbounds play as Strickland gets fouled and will shoot 2. Second foul on Atkins. Washington is over the limit.
And 12 fouls already on the Washington Mystics. This is a team that led the league in fewest fouls per game this season. That's a high number for a first half for them.
Will the WNBA Finals 2019 continue? If they do, we'll have the final and deciding game Thursday night from our nation's capital. It's game 5 at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Sun versus the Mystics. Connecticut is now 14 of 14 from the line. They shot it at just 70% as a team this year. By far, worst in the league, worst for any team since 2011.
Look at Elena Deladon battling in the post. We did not see that last game.
Meesum in, leans in, short on the jumper. Jones the rebound. Her 8th. Big screen from Alyssa Thomas. Jasmine Thomas, too strong on the jumper.
That's what I'm talking about with Alyssa Thomas. Often the toughest player on the floor.
And a whistle. Do we have another clock issue?
I mean, come on.
I mean, this is our 3rd clock issue of the game.
It's our 3rd CI.
Our 3rd CI. When I need a good acronym, I go to the Hall of Famer, Rebecca Lobo.
Washington again, looking to Elena Deladon in the float in the post.
Meesum in, dishes out, Cloud gives it up, wide open Atkins. Foul from behind by Alyssa Thomas.
Y'all so quick to buy your whistle, come on!
That'll be number 2 on Alyssa Thomas.
Well, here Ariel Atkins just ends up wide open. Not much else that Alyssa Thomas could do. Big foul.
And you could hear Natasha Cloud, who's wearing a mic for us, saying, y'all so quick to blow your whistle, come on, because that one was delayed. And Washington certainly has gotten hit with plenty of quick ones tonight.
But to me, it's a really good sign, the last few possessions, to see Elena Deladon posting, because that shows a comfort level, and with her back, feeling better about her back. We did not see that at all in game 3.
Atkins gets the 2nd to drop. 12-point Connecticut lead. 1:20 to go first half. Connecticut jumped out to a 15-point lead after 1. That has been the story of these finals. Who's ever won the first has won the game. Williams bunny hops into a deuce. 10 points for Courtney Williams, who's already had more field goal attempts than she had all of game 3. Atkins leans in and connects.
Ariel Atkins was the difference for Washington, a big difference for Washington in game 1. She was terrific, and she's really been good offensively here in this first half.
She has the last 9 Mystics points. Williams gets it on the move and puts it in again. To 2-for-1 opportunity for Washington. Cloud knows she has a little time to do it. That one gets bounced towards the backcourt. There goes the 2-for-1. 4 to shoot. Atkins will chuck. No. Rebound Thomas. And Jasmine Thomas in Connecticut can hold for 1. And Kurt Miller will take a timeout to draw up what he wants. The bounce back the Sun wanted. They have gotten so far in Game 4, facing elimination.
After being held to 6 points in Game 3, Courtney Williams has come alive here in the first half for the Connecticut Sun. So active on the offensive end of the floor. 12 points already. She's getting touches. She's attacking the rim. She's elevating and scoring. One of the reasons her star has shined so brightly in the finals is because of this level of activity. We didn't see it in Game 3, seeing it here in Game 4.
Already doubling up her point total from Sunday afternoon, and Don Williams, her energetic father, certainly enjoying the first half. 5 seconds left in it. Williams around the hedge of Deladon. 2 seconds left. Williams connects! A little high five to Pops, and that'll do it for the first half. Williams scores the final 6 of the half for Connecticut. And the Sun have a 16-point lead after 2 quarters of Game 4.
Talked about her activity. She gets doubled, but she can go around it. Look at that elevation, even over Elena Deladon, and then walks over to Daddy. Gets some dap.
Connecticut looking to force a Game 5 Thursday. Courtney Williams doing her best to make that happen, Holly.
Well, Courtney, your defensive commitment is completely different tonight. Why did you change?
Why did I change, man? Because we got to win. I was a little bit off last game, but I'm back against the walls, man. We can't take no plays off.
You've already got more shots tonight than you had all of the last game. How have you gotten yourself going offensively?
I'm doing the same thing I was doing last game. I'm just being a lot more aggressive this game. Like I said, man, pressure bust pipes and make diamonds, baby, and we out here.
Thank you.
Man, we here.
All right. Courtney Williams believes her team's a bunch of diamonds. The Sun have shined brightly through the first half of this game. A 56-40 lead is we at halftime. Stay tuned for the WNBA halftime report with WNBA champion Yolanda Griffith joining Holly and Rebecca Lobo. Presented by State Farm. That's coming up after these messages. We welcome you back to the WNBA Finals 2019, presented by YouTube TV. Getting ready to start the 3rd quarter of Game 4 of these best-of-5 WNBA Finals. The Connecticut Sun trying to stave off elimination, of 56-40 lead on the Washington Mystics. As we welcome you back courtside, Ryan Rucco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Big contributions in that first half from Courtney Williams and Alyssa Thomas for Connecticut.
Yeah, they combined for 28 points in that half, and their activity on both ends of the floor was paramount. It wasn't just their scoring, but it was what they were doing on the defensive end as well. Alyssa Thomas, we've talked about her being the best facilitating forward in the WNBA, 8 assists in the first half.
Tying a WNBA Finals record for half. Meanwhile, for the Washington Mystics, the story continues to be the mobility or lack of it for Elena Deladon, dealing with that small herniation of a disc in her back.
Clearly not 100%, but looks a lot better to me than she did in Game 3. In Game 3, she was just a spacer. She stayed on the perimeter, looked to take threes, but in this game, she's been willing to post up, been willing to drive. Still, of course, able to hit the threes. But Elena Deladon looking much closer to herself in Game 4 than we saw on Sunday.
For Washington to get back in this game, Rebecca, what do you need to see in the second half?
They need to start making shots. You know, that's what made them so deadly in Game 3, was their ability to hit, especially from the perimeter. Continue to get defensive stops if they can. They got to keep Connecticut off the glass. That was the complete story in games 2 and 3.
Washington 0-3 this season when facing a double-digit halftime deficit. The Connecticut Sun down 2-1 in the series, trying to force a winner-take-all game 5 Thursday. Sanders rattles out the jumper. Delle Donne, the putback is good.
And 2 more points in the paint for Elena Delle Donne.
Those are the first second chance points of the game for Washington. Connecticut had a 13-0 edge in the first half. Williams jumper off. Rebound scrapes off the fingertips of Jones, out of bounds to Washington.
But a really nice counter by Courtney Williams. Seeing that Cloud was getting over the screen, she went the other way. That's a really good look for her.
Now in this series, we've seen just 4 total lead changes, thanks to huge leads after the first quarter that have alternated teams each game. But we've also seen those teams down by a lot mount comebacks to either tie or get to within a possession or two. See if Washington has that in them. Jones, difficult look, off.
That's a settle to me for Jonquel Jones. She's been effective when she's been able to get inside and get touches.
Just the 4th shot attempt for Jonquel Jones as Delle Donne. I mean, that stroke, it just doesn't get more pure than that.
Also with a small herniated disc in her back.
Imagine what she'd look like with a large herniated disc. Oh, that's not the way it works.
No, it's not.
Steal from Cloud. Here comes Cloud. Busting into the front court. Good start to the 3rd for Washington, and 2 more. Timeout, Connecticut. A 6-0 Washington run to begin the second half.
The exact start you want if you are the Washington Mystics. Ariel Atkins continuing to provide offense for her team.
A 6-0 start to the second half for Washington.
Yeah, you couldn't have asked for a better start in the 3rd quarter. Offensive board by Elena Delle Donne. Step back by Elena Delle Donne. And then a great job by Ariel Atkins to hit this one over Shakina Strickland. This is a Washington Mystics team, had the best record in the league this season. They played in the WNBA Finals last year. This is a team with poise.
So a quick timeout from Connecticut after that 6-0 run. Sun looking to stave off elimination tonight. As Thomas gets fouled, goes to the line. We check in with Ollie Rowe.
Well, Kurt Miller, the head coach of the Connecticut Sun, had seen enough. As his team came over to the bench, the #1 message he had for them was, why aren't we being more aggressive? That was the recipe that they had success with in the first half. He particularly addressed their step backs. Rebecca, you said you thought Jonquel settled. I think he agrees, because he talked about them driving more to the basket, being aggressive and setting the tone. But the thing I like the most is as the huddle ended, it was Courtney Williams who yelled to her team, no more, no more. She is setting the defensive tone for her teammates right now, and that is a change.
Yeah, without question, Connecticut has had more success when they've attacked. So what Kurt Miller draw up in the huddle, clear out, let Jasmine Thomas drive right side. She got to the lane.
Goes 1 for 2 from the line. First missed free throw of the game for Connecticut. They're 15 of 16. In the corner, Atkins. In and out, offensive rebound, Sanders. Tolliver gets fouled and will shoot 2. And Christy Tolliver, a chance to eliminate the goose egg that she currently holds in the box score.
Christy Tolliver, knowing that Connecticut was going to close out hard on her because of her great shooting performance in game 3, waited. Defender flew by and drove in.
Tolliver, an all-time great free throw shooter. And of course she misses that one. Announcer Jinx. Zion and the Pelicans headline our next NBA preseason game tomorrow on ESPN when they take on the Bulls at United Center. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific with NBA Countdown. Both are available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And we're talking with Christy Tolliver today, and we said, you know, your teammates, Mike Tebow, were very honest, especially with the murkiness of Elena's injury, of just trying to get one prior to game 3 to make sure you could at least send it back to Washington. Is there any feeling of satisfaction already? As Williams follows up her miss, then tried to spin it to herself in traffic and had it taken away. And Christy Tolliver said, that's a loser's mentality. I didn't come here for 1 win, came here for 2. I've never celebrated a championship on my home floor. I don't intend to this year. as Atkins buries the three off the touch pass from Tolliver.
This is the Ariel Atkins we saw in game 1. Tremendous confidence in her shot today.
14 from Atkins, a 10-1 run for Washington. Alyssa Thomas needs help, finds it in Jasmine. 6 to shoot. Strickland with 3 to shoot. Strickland's leaner, no. Rebound Sanders. How about the momentum for the Mystics? Atkins finds Cloud. Tolliver in the corner. She got it. Another timeout, Connecticut. 13-1 to start the third for the favored Mystics. Well, the Washington Mystics looking to eliminate a 16-point halftime deficit. It's taken them less than 3.5 minutes to shave this to 4.
And Ryan, when we were talking to Kurt Miller and the players on the team, they said for Connecticut, they said in game 3, when we struggled offensively, we let it affect us on the defensive end of the floor. And I think that's been the case here. Washington's tight in the defense. Connecticut struggled on the offensive end, and it's affected their intensity on the defensive end.
See if they can settle down here after Kurt Miller's second time out of the quarter. Strickland gets inside, misses the layup, out of bounds to Washington. Looked like it had last hit Washington, but instead it'll be Mystics ball. Let's see. The question is, did Alyssa Thomas make contact after it hit Sanders? Nonetheless, Strickland has had 2 close looks. Neither have gone down in this third. Atkins trying to shimmy around Williams. No foul call. Here comes Jasmine Thomas, the only 30-year-old Kurt Miller has ever coached. Thomas ducks in, misses the layup. Able to scramble back to it. And a foul called against Christy Tolliver.
Kurt Miller talked to us about the missed layups by the Connecticut Sun team in game 3, and said there were 4 of them in the first quarter alone. We've seen quite a few missed layups by Connecticut here in game 4 as well.
Connecticut 0 for 6 to begin the third quarter. Jasmine Thomas gets the angle to leave, and Jones is going to be tied up for a jump. And Ariel Atkins and Jonquel Jones will jump it up.
Great job by Ariel Atkins here, recovering. Mostly ball.
Yeah. Didn't look like a foul. Maybe they could have let it go, but if not, a jump seemed like the right call.
Yeah.
Mike Tebow instructing his team on their positioning on the jump ball, and he's not happy with it. Still shaking his head. Jonquel Jones has the size and length over Atkins. 9 to shoot for Connecticut. And Jones tips it back to Jasmine Thomas. 7 to shoot. Atkins tried to sell an illegal screen. The flop didn't work. The block does for Deladon. 2 to shoot. Alyssa Thomas will inbound as Connecticut will need to trigger quickly. Thomas floats it into Jasmine. 1 to shoot. She doesn't get it off. And this is a very poor start to the third quarter for Kurt Miller's Connecticut Sun.
Kurt Miller before this game, talking about game 3, said Washington was more physical. They were ready for a fight. We were ready for a game. It seemed to be the opposite in the first half here, but that has completely shifted in terms of the team that is the aggressor here in this third quarter.
Tolliver, step back 3 is good. Christy Tolliver has found her stroke in the second half. It's a 1-point game. A 16-1 blitz from Washington. Strickland, a much-needed bucket for Connecticut. Cloud pull-up is good. Probably not the shot Mike Tebow would have wanted, but a confident stroke at that.
Wow, Washington, the confidence with which they're shooting the ball here in the third quarter.
Williams jumper, sure. Connecticut trying to stabilize on the offensive end. Tolliver working around the double, having some trouble with it, and the steal. 5-on-4 for Connecticut. Tolliver back in the play, Jones the catch, and the finish. The ship afloat again for the Sun. Foul against Courtney Williams.
Connecticut so effective in the first half when they had a lot of energy defensively here. They recognize they've got somebody stuck in the corner. Tolliver there. Jasmine Thomas able to rip it right out of her hands. Great recognition of Jonquil Jones alone inside.
Jones 10 points, 10 rebounds on 3 of 5 shooting. Don Williams didn't love the foul call on his daughter. Seemed obvious. Cloud looks off the pass. Short on the 3. Alyssa Thomas the rebound. Motoring down the floor. Thomas a load to deal with. Just couldn't finish.
Elena Deladon's length prevented that from going in.
Thomas has not sat in this game. And she gets called for the foul there as Jasmine Thomas put her in a spot going for the steal. And that's number 3 on Alyssa Thomas.
Don't gamble.
And you could hear Kurt Miller saying, don't gamble to Jasmine Thomas. If the Sun can pull this one off tonight, we'll have a winner-take-all Game 5 of the WNBA Finals Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Tolliver, backdoor dish, stolen by Williams. Williams trying to veer through traffic in the backcourt. Finds the open Jasmine Thomas. Connecting on a 3. An emphatic scream after the bucket. A 7-0 Connecticut response. Cloud dishes. Powers gets a look. No. Rebound Jones. Momentum back on the side of the Sun as Strickland gets called for the offensive foul. Deladon will check out. Tiana Hawkins, Natasha Cloud, Ariel Powers, Emma Mieseman, Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, a bench-laden lineup for Washington. Well, Mieseman just got right to the rim.
Jonquil Jones went over the top of the screen, and that wasn't the place to go because Mieseman able to easily get a step on her.
And the first bucket of the game for Emma Mieseman, who's had 5 20-point games in these playoffs after just 2 in the regular season. Jones looking to take Mieseman. Out of the double, Strickland off on a 3. Cloud the rebound.
Connecticut, no one going to the offensive glass on that shot.
Mieseman, a lot of space and an easy 2. A little breakdown from the Sun. You give Mieseman a bunny, she will gobble that up. Jasmine Thomas a good leave, and Alyssa Thomas is blocked. Good D from Mieseman.
What an impact for Emma Mieseman. 2 buckets and then a block on the defensive end.
Powers forcing her way into a foul.
Emma Mieseman was so big in Game 3 with her ability to not only drive, but to hit the 3-point shot as well. In attack mode here in the 3rd quarter. She's so good in the pick and pop. There you see her slip the screen and finish.
Little to no resistance on those possessions, and Emma Mieseman's mother in the crowd. A star in Belgium, Sonia, was the biggest basketball star in Belgium until her daughter came along. Sonia often watches the games in the late hours of the night and early morning in Belgium, but tells Emma she's so wired after the game she can't go back to sleep. She's just up for the day. Much easier being here in the United States on East Coast time.
Yeah.
Powers. It's the free throw. It's a 6-0 run from Washington, and now a 2-point game. Big lift off the bench from the Mystics. Letitia Heidemann did so for Connecticut in the first half. She's in here. Courtney Williams and Alyssa Thomas not on the same page there.
I think they were trying to get Bria Holmes to clear out that side of the floor.
Confusing possession here for Connecticut. Shot clock down to 3, and Williams bailed out by a foul. Connecticut did not know what they wanted to run there or could not execute it. Third foul on Natasha Cloud. Washington had one to give. Jones falls to the floor. Miesemann called for the trip, and that'll be free throws for Jonquel Jones. That's number 3 on Miesemann.
That's good, Dave. Keep being aggressive.
Connecticut likes to get Jonquel Jones on the ball on that left block.
Keep doing it.
She likes to spin over her right shoulder, and this time it gets her to the line.
Jones, 10 points, 11 rebounds, just 5 field goal attempts. Is now 5 of 5 from the line. There's something to keep in mind as we come down the stretch of a close game. Washington uses its bench much more frequently. And so you wonder, does fatigue with the starters play any kind of a role? Alyssa Thomas has sat less than 30 seconds this entire series for Connecticut. Miesemann gives it up, gets it back, spins inside. The foul on Jonquel Jones. Connecticut over the limit, and Miesemann will shoot 2.
And Washington continues to pick on this matchup. They love the Emma Miesemann being defended by Jonquel Jones. Get her the ball out, pass it back, repost. We saw Jonquel Jones struggle with the pick and pop in game 3 with straight line drives when guarding Emma Miesemann. She's better in the first half, but again here, Miesemann's having success.
Any easy adjustment from Connecticut along those lines?
You might switch the matchup. You might try to give Alyssa Thomas some minutes on Emma Miesemann, or you might send players to dig or help just to get the ball out of Miesemann's hands. Connecticut has been effective doing that throughout the course of the series.
Miesemann, the first player in WNBA playoff history with 3 20-point games off the bench. She had 2 while starting. And she's come alive in second halves in these playoffs as she has today. As Williams off a good contest from Miesemann could not finish, in Washington a chance to tie or take the lead. Powers banks it in, down 16 at the half. Washington is tied it at 68. 2-for-1 opportunity for Connecticut as Heidemann rattles out a jumper. Wow. 6-second difference, game and shot clock.
Hey, 7.
Look for the pick and pop in the middle of the floor.
Here it comes. Cloud, the toss to Miesemann. Powers' jumper is off. Williams with 5 seconds left in the quarter. Williams finds Jones, a long 3 is off. A 16-point deficit vanquished by Washington. 68 all after 3. Fourth quarter action of game 4. Washington trying to lock down a title. Connecticut trying to force a winner-take-all game 5. Fourth quarter up next.
Welcome back to Connecticut, here with Sun head coach Kurt Miller, and up by 16. Coach, what's going wrong for your team right now?
They outscored us by 16.
You've got to make some defensive changes. Mieseman's come alive there. How do you change that matchup?
Well, I thought we got out of character, started gambling a little bit. When they started having some success, we're doing some stuff schematically that we're not supposed to be doing because we got a little panicked. We got to get back in there, just get back to what we're supposed to do and execute it.
Offensively, who do you want to play through here in the fourth quarter?
Whoever's going to put it in.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, that wouldn't be the start to the fourth Kurt Miller would want. Washington has its first lead since it was 3-2. And I'm not sure Kurt Miller can go with this lineup that much longer.
He's run the last two plays for Bria Holmes, trying to get her to attack the basket. Well, Aerial Powers busted through the first time to help get the steal, and Holmes not able to finish on the last drive.
Tolliver slips. Powers looking for help. Forces it up, short. Here comes Alyssa Thomas. Thomas busting to the rim. Couldn't finish. Jones can't either. Loose ball taken by Mieseman.
Clear frustration on the faces right now of the Connecticut Sun.
And Alyssa Thomas, who was such a force in the first half, very quiet so far in the second. Tolliver shakes Heidemann, and a foul on the floor. I mean, Rebecca, I know Kurt Miller's trying to steal some minutes for his Guns, but how much longer can he go with this group?
Well, you see right now that Jasmine Thomas is going to come back in, and you know, Natisha Heidemann was terrific in the first half, trying to get her going a little bit in the second half, but there was some confusion a few possessions ago with Bria Holmes of where she was on the floor.
And Jasmine Thomas, 4 times on the all-defensive team, will now try and stick Tolliver. Mieseman over to Walker Kimbrough. Walker Kimbrough fires it up and connects. Washington down 16 at the half. Now with a 4-point fourth quarter lead, trying to close out the finals tonight. Jones a deep catch, and the bunny.
Really nice patience by the Connecticut Sun. Work the ball around the perimeter until you get the right angle for the entry pass to Jones.
One of the things we heard Kurt Miller tell Holly is, you know, we need to still stick to our game plan, do what we do. Sort of got outside ourselves, reacting to Washington's run. That was a concern he voiced to us before the game. That's popped in the air, left for Hawkins. Wide open, Walker Kimbrough buries the long 2.
Wow. The shot-making ability of the Washington Mystics.
They're now at 51% from the floor for the game. Holmes, that is just not her shot. Williams trying to flag it down, cannot.
Making the right pass to the baseline side so they can get a clear look into Jonquel Jones going over the right shoulder, likes the fade, and beautiful ball movement by the Washington Mystics. They are so good working the ball around the perimeter, EDD.
I mean, Rebecca, how much of a difference is it that Washington has been able to rely on their bench and Connecticut has not?
Well, it's a big difference. You know, they've gotten production from their bench all season long. These players have a tremendous amount of confidence right now, know what their role is, which shots they should and should not be taking.
Powers travel. And now Holmes will head to the bench for Connecticut. Their starting 5 back on the floor. Washington's bench a plus 21 in this game, a 31-10 edge.
That's been the story for much of the season for the Washington Mystics. Coach Thibault has 9 players he truly trusts.
Strickland, run off, takes the leaner and hits it.
I like Strickland on the floor just because she has experience. She is a veteran who's played in big moments.
Mieseman buries the 3.
That's just a tough matchup right now for Jonquel Jones on Emma Mieseman.
9 points in the second half for Mieseman. Thomas, no, but a foul. Aerial Powers called for the contact, and Jasmine Thomas a chance for 2. Wow, has this game turned. Connecticut just blitzed Washington in the first half. Dominated every aspect of the game, had a 16-point lead. And in the second half, Washington has thrown a championship right hook. Will the WNBA Finals 2019 continue? If they do, we'll have the final and deciding game Thursday night from our nation's capital. It'll be Game 5 at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, Sun versus the Mystics.
Washington Mystics bench produced in a way that allowed Mike Thibault to keep Elena Delle Donne on the bench for some rest. She's in now for these closing minutes. Now, for Connecticut, or for Washington, we talked about the turnaround here in the second half. They've done it by being true to their identity, moving the ball around, taking the shots, making the shots that they've made all season long.
Delle Donne back in, Thomas guarding her. Walker Kimbrough has hit some big shots off the bench. 3 to shoot. Walker Kimbrough with a fading shot clock, misses that one. And Thomas snares the rebound and makes a gorgeous feed to Jonquel Jones. Two-point game, a lot of basketball left to be played. Delle Donne, 5 to shoot. Delle Donne off one leg, short. Rebound, Strickland bounces it ahead to Thomas. 2-on-1, tie game.
The WNBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV and AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
The telecast of WNBA Enterprises may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise used in any form without the express written consent of WNBA Enterprises.
Welcome back to the WNBA Finals 2019 presented by YouTube TV. Nice burst here from Connecticut to tie it back up.
The last 2 buckets for Connecticut, in large part because of the Thomases. Alyssa Thomas with a beautiful pass to the streaking Jonquel Jones. And then Jasmine Thomas is at her best when she's attacking, especially on the right side, through a little bit of contact. Game tied with 5:35 to go. Ryan!
2 lead changes the first 3 games combined. There have been a modest 3 tonight, but it trumps what preceded this evening. Game 4 of the best-of-5 finals. Washington a 2-1 lead, trying to close it tonight. Tolliver, a wide open lane, couldn't finish. Meeseman, an outstanding effort on the glass. 1-on-4, she somehow kept it alive for Washington. She's wide open in the corner, but hesitated, and now loses it. Gets it back, though, and we're going to have a jump. What a wild possession with 2 to shoot.
Washington moving the ball around really well. Christy Tolliver with the drive. You end up with some mismatches here. Players scrambling defensively for Connecticut. More good ball movement by Washington than here. The hand by Shekinna Strickland to get in on the ball. Nicely done.
2 to shoot as Jasmine Thomas and Meeseman will jump it up. Meeseman taps it forward, Delle Donne. And that's going to be a shot clock violation. 5:05 to go in this fourth. You know, that corner look that Meeseman didn't take reminds me of a conversation we had with Emma at the beginning of this series, in which she said, there are often times Mike Thibault thinks I'm open that I don't. And he's yelling, shoot it, shoot it.
That was one of those times, right?
You bet it was.
But to her credit, she was listening to her coach from the last timeout. Thibault told them in the last huddle, I want everything going to the basket. You saw every player there think about their shot because they were following their coach's instructions.
Great point, Holly. Good info. As that rebound ends up with Cloud. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in game 4. Cloud, Delle Donne, Meeseman, Tolliver, and Powers as Cloud scoops it in. Connecticut with their starting 5 on the floor. Alyssa Thomas, lob into Jones, deep catch, and banks it in.
The high-low has been there at times tonight, and Connecticut has taken advantage of it.
dishes. Powers puts it in.
Man, Aerial Powers has been huge in the last 2 games of this series.
15 off the bench for Powers. More high-low. It sets up Jasmine Thomas. A little hesitation. Now the drive and dish. Alyssa. 2 free throws coming for Alyssa Thomas.
Connecticut has been very good from the free throw line in this game. Well, the worst free throw shooting team in the league. Let's see how they do the last 3:40 of the game. Alyssa Thomas attacking. Connecticut right now 18 of 20 from the free throw line.
Uncharacteristically excellent. Thomas hits the first. She is now 7 of 7 from the line, 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. She has sat less than 30 seconds this entire series. And she's tied it. Talk about ice in the veins of Alyssa Thomas, a true baller. 81 all, 3:35 to go. Powers, a difficult catch. Strickland harassing, 8 to shoot. Cloud burrows in, can't hook it home. Rebound, Courtney Williams. Williams loses it, but a foul. And the 3rd team foul against Washington.
The activity, and Courtney Williams, nice job getting the ball going the other way. Elena Deladon with the foul. Connecticut, every time they get the defensive board, if they think they can push and have numbers, that's their priority.
What's key for Connecticut on this end?
To get a good shot, especially if you can get Jonquil Jones a touch.
Alyssa Thomas trying to do that. Instead, it's Jasmine on a 3. Big money bucket from Jasmine Thomas puts Connecticut back in front. Deladon steps inside, goes around the back. Kept it alive for Cloud. Here is Powers. Mieseman to tie it. She's got it!
Wow, Emma Mieseman. That one, she wasn't very open, but she still drained it.
84 all. Jasmine Thomas probing, dishing. Jones finds Strickland. Her 3 is good! What a sequence, back and forth with big shots from Connecticut and Washington.
Connecticut Sun had the 2nd most made threes in the WNBA this season. The Washington Mystics had the 1st, and the last 3 plays reflected that. Man, and Shekinna Strickland, when she comes alive for Connecticut and is able to hit deep threes, it makes such a difference in this team.
15 for Shekinna Strickland. Connecticut, an 87-84 lead, 2:22 to go, 4th quarter of Game 4. Washington a 2-1 series lead in these best-of-5 WNBA Finals. Cloud gets the step, and that was too easy.
They knew how Connecticut was going to defend the middle pick and roll with Emma Mieseman and Christy Tolliver, and it spread the entire Connecticut defense out, so Cloud had the driving lane.
Alyssa Thomas on the move, dribbled it off the foot of Washington, back to Jasmine Thomas. Her jumper, too strong. Rebound Tolliver. Washington trailed by 16 at the half, came back, built a 5-point lead here in the 4th. Now Connecticut by 1 with under 1:40 to go. Cloud the take, no finish. Thomas the rebound for Connecticut.
Continuing to have Natasha Cloud attack the rim.
Alyssa Thomas, look out. 10 to shoot. Jasmine Thomas feeds Alyssa, fading away, not a good look. Cloud the rebound. Washington down 1. A chance to clinch tonight. Mieseman fighting to set the screen. Williams gets around it. Miesemann on the move. No! Rebound knocked around. Grabbed by Strickland. Timeout, Connecticut. 52.7 to go. Connecticut leading by 1. We'll step aside for 30 seconds. Be right back. Now's the time to get your WNBA team and league gear. For the latest WNBA merchandise, finals gear, and more, visit WNBAstore.com. 52.7 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Connecticut leading Washington by 1.
Well, we know Washington wants to attack. They've been in attack mode, whether it's Cloud or Miesemann. Terrific defense that time by Jonquel Jones twice. First to disrupt the shot and then to keep the ball alive so Connecticut could have possession. And for Connecticut, who do they play through at the end of the game? That was a question we would hear a lot last season and maybe early on in this season. Well, they found that identity, and it has been Courtney Williams, Jonquel Jones, and Alyssa Thomas. Those are the 3 players that have really come alive in these situations for Connecticut, primarily Courtney Williams.
Elena Delle Donne, 7 points in the first quarter, just 4 since. Washington needing a stop. Connecticut with 1 timeout remaining, Washington with 2. Each with a foul to give. Williams jumper, short, rebound Miesemann. A chance for Washington. No timeout taken by Mike Thibault. Ball in the hands of Tolliver. The only player on the floor who's won a finals. Tolliver gives it up. Powers for 3. No! Rebound Williams. And a foul taken by Cloud. Washington had one to give.
The middle pick and roll that's been so effective for Washington. Powers left open in the corner. She's delivered most of the time. Here in game 4, just misses Connecticut corralling a big rebound.
Connecticut does have 1 timeout remaining. 2-second difference game in shot clock. Powers backing off for the moment. Now here comes the trap. And now a foul from Cloud as Jasmine Thomas will go to the line. And that is going to be the 5th foul on Natasha Cloud. Connecticut from the line, 20 of 22 in this game. The 2 misses have come from Jasmine Thomas. She cans the first. 78% in her career, 80% this season. To make it a 3-point game. She got both. Timeout, Washington. .4 seconds remaining. Connecticut, a 3-point lead as they look to stave off elimination. What a wild game here, Rebecca. It looked like Connecticut was going to race to a victory tonight and force a winner-take-all game 5. And then Washington struck back in the third, ended up building a 5-point lead in the fourth, having been down 16 at the half. Now they're down 3, 18.4 to go. Where do they go on offense?
Well, first, Washington made this comeback because they were true to their identity. They continued to space the floor. They hit threes. They were able to drive. So there's 2 things they can do. They can go for a 2. The drive has been so effective, and then foul and play the percentages. Connecticut, the worst free throw shooting team in the league this year. Or you look for the 3. They've got 5 players on the floor who can make it. The middle pick and pop with Christy Tolliver and Emma Miesemann has been very effective throughout this series.
All right, well, Mike Thibault getting his team ready. Washington with 1 timeout remaining. Connecticut has a timeout and a foul to give. 18.4 seconds remaining. Cloud will inbound. Powers, Meeseman, Deladon, and Tolliver. The others on the floor for Washington. Here's Deladon. Cloud. Looking to drive it. Cloud powering inside. No call. No make. Foul, Washington. Thomas to the line for Connecticut with a chance to make it a two-possession game.
Natasha Cloud driving on Jasmine Thomas. Elena Deladon there to set a rub screen. Looked like they were going for the two and then would play the foul game. Phenomenal defense by Jasmine Thomas, and finishing the play, Alyssa Thomas with the defensive board.
8 of 8 from the line today for Alyssa Thomas. And a big 9 of 9. This is a woman who shot under 50% from the line this season. She has 17 points, a finals record tying 11 assists, 8 rebounds, and is 9 of 9 from the line. Misses that one. Meeseman secures, and Washington takes its final timeout.
You sit, Eric, Elena, take it out. Tosh is here. AT is here. Okay. KT's coming here. Tosh, start here and come up. All right. We're going to try to throw it right to Emma. Okay. Try to throw it. You're right. This is Tosh. This is AP. You're going behind here. Tosh, you're going here. Christy's going here. Trying to throw it to Emma. Step inbound, Z. Got Christy here. You could split for her right here. Emma, go try to score right away. Go score right away. Unless we have a wide open thing, then we'll get it back. We'll foul right away. Together, 1, 2, 3, together.
All right, that's the play for Washington.
In Connecticut, you want to be smart if you want to use your foul to give. Wait for it. Make sure it's on a dribble. You certainly would never want to foul somebody, especially if they're attempting a three-point shot, but you can use your foul to give here.
9.7 to go in the fourth quarter of game 4. Connecticut by 4. Washington ball. No more timeouts. Deladon gets it into Meeseman. Meeseman turns short. Jones the rebound. Time winding down. There will be a game 5 Thursday night. The Connecticut Sun hold off Washington and even this series at 2 games apiece. After building a lead as large as 18, the Connecticut Sun watched it totally evaporate, trailing by 5 with 6:51 to go, enduring 5 different ties since the Sun outlast the Mystics 90-86 the final, as we check in with Holly Rowe.